met up with Caroline in Hong Kong for a portrait session. She previously commissioned portraits from me while she was based in KL, and this time around, I'm traveling and she moved to Hong Kong, and she agreed graciously to become my subject for this YouTube video. I was photographing portrait session with the Canon 5D Mark III and the 50mm f1.2, the 20mm f1.4 and the 85mm f1.4 Sigma lenses. Now these are prime lenses and they are fast. It's a simple portrait photo shoot. These gears that could fit into my backpack, just two of us, no assistant and no fancy lights, just whatever Hong Kong is going to give us. We started the portrait session at the cafe. I purposefully sat Caroline next to the window for the most obvious reasons. What's not to love about good directional light source and interesting reflections from the window? I was photographing from outside of the cafe with the 50mm at f2.0, shallow depth to give the photo that kind of dreamy, blurry, buttery bokeh goodness. At 50, it is a focal length that's been loved by many portraits photographers, almost close to no distortion and always easy to the eye. Now this is the portrait lens that I use to photograph Caroline the most. Since I'm traveling like a tourist, I wanted to photograph portraits that screams Hong Kong, hence the iconic Hong Kong tramline. Now to top that off, the Hong Kong street backdrop is just picturesque. These shots were taken with the 50. When stepped back from the subject, I could include plenty of scene on the location in relative to the subject. Now, how to use the wide-angle lens for portrait photography? In general, I use this lens to include action and movement in the portrait. A wide angle makes an almost uncomfortable portrait with limbs and faces all stretched out. But that creates drama. Or I also use the 20 to photograph when I'm in a tight spot and I would like to include plenty of scene in relative to the subject. Now here's a shot taken with the 20mm. The perspective accentuates leading lines towards the subject. Now portrait lens does that as well, but at 20, this is very apparent. In this photo, the wide angle lens allows me to stand closer to the subject and at the same time have plenty of location included in the shot. Caroline appears to be closer to the camera while the background looks at a distance and somewhat distorted in the camera. And to counter the extreme distortion on the wide angle, I almost always position the subject in the center of the frame. At 20, it is a great lens to use at tight spaces like in the tram. The 50 would be nice too, but 20 gives a little bit more context of the tram itself. Now here's the 85mm. It's a large lens. It's a telephoto lens. I use the lens to bring out the subject closer to the camera when I'm standing from afar. Now watch this clip to see what I mean. Okay, I'm gonna be attempting something a little bit crazy. Well, it's pretty safe, but it's a little bit crazy. And what I'm gonna do is that, you see that overhead bridge over there? I'm gonna be going there while my model, my subject, Caroline, is gonna be here. I'm going to use a tele lens and shoot her with Hong Kong behind her. I think it's going to be a glorious shot. Let's try it. I love this shot. I wish I had a longer lens for this shot, but the 85mm works out pretty good. I was standing pretty far away from Caroline, but yet at 85, it brings the subject closer to the camera. It compresses the frame and it is good enough to see Caroline in the photo in contrast with the busy Hong Kong traffic at the back. At 85mm, there's no distortion on the photo. I did not use the 85 as much as I wanted to, but I shot this at 85 f1.4 and the background separation is super buttery. It's a wrap, I think. Hopefully we got some photos, enough photos to actually build out something, an album hopefully. That's about it really. So yeah, thanks Caroline for doing whatever you're doing. Hopefully you like the photos.
Of course, I like your photo. Should be, I like the photo.
Okay. Now, there you have it guys, a simple portrait session with full frame 5D Mark III and together with these various lenses over here. I hope you agree with the description that I've made for these lenses with the photographs from the shot that we did in Hong Kong. If not, tell me which one and why. And what's your favorite lens to shoot portraits like this? Now let me know in the comments below. Now thank you Caroline for being the subject of the day for this YouTube video, and thank you guys for watching this episode of The Afterwalk. If this video is interesting for you, click on the thumbs up. It works on the algorithm for me. If you are new to the channel, do subscribe so I can see you again in the next video. Until then, I'll see you guys.